This year, we at MotorScribes decided to celebrate Diwali a little different. We wanted to take a road trip. How does a road trip have anything to do with the Festival of Lights? Well, we had a destination that had something special. The world's oldest modern solar observatory is in Kodaikanal, and we decided to embark on a journey from Pune to Kodai.
Our road trip was actually from Pune all the way to Kodaikanal. Pune is a bit hot right now. It's about 34 degrees, and Kodaikanal is going to be 13 degrees. So we had to pack all our warm woolens in there, jackets, everything all set for the cold in Kodaikanal. We actually set out from Pune at about 5:30 in the morning and head straight down NH4 to Kolhapur. At Kolhapur, we also bumped into some bikers, did we?
Absolutely. They were on their way home for Diwali as well.
That's right. The really nice group of guys, mainly Royal Enfield bullets. There was one very interesting bike in there as well.
From Kolhapur we set out, and the road changed. We got a nicer two-lane road. The road out of Pune was a little rough, under construction, but we were able to pick up the speed and proceed down towards Belgaum. And brilliant road, nice. It opens up into a three-lane highway, and the cars were just pelting it down. We had a blast behind the wheel over there. The A6 2-liter engine still delivers that power really nice, and it was a pleasure being behind the wheel down that stretch. I was just having a blast behind the wheel. And we crossed through Karnataka, hit the border, where we took a pit stop at Krishna. Again, that's pretty much the first place where you can get a nice cup of filter coffee, and that's pretty much where we decided to stop.
Well, it was already night time by the time we hit Krishnagiri, and this is where the cars really shone through, because the A6 with its Matrix headlights led the way, and it lit up the road like daylight.
Yeah, it might have been Diwali, but it was Christmas for us on the road. Those lights, those LED lights, the way they play on and off, for me, it was like magic. I'm quite sure the people ahead of me appreciated it as well, because despite the brightness, I'm sure they weren't blinded by it. Anyway, we sort of made our way down through the night, had a quick, uneventful pit stop in Salem, where we had to stop at a roadside dhaba for a quick bite. And late at night, we stopped at the foothills of Kodaikanal at a small farm called the Rock Garden. And that was our pit stop for the night. Well, it's not really advisable for the faint at heart or the weak at stomach, I should put it that way, to climb up a mountain on a full belly. But we're seasoned riders and drivers, so we decided to have a brilliant lunch before we headed up the mountain. There's a little quaint restaurant run by these ladies, and they cook everything in clay pots. And it's the most delicious mutton, chicken and fish you can get. Right next to Batlagundu, which is about 60 odd kilometers away from Kodaikanal.
And the best part about that food, obviously, is that there's no spice in it.
Yeah.
But the flavors that come out of there are they just leave you wanting for more.
I think you're ready to lick your fingers again.
I'm ready to go back there and just have another course.
Yeah.
The drive up to Kodai is brilliant, and that's something you shouldn't do in the night because you'll miss out on all the sights going up the hill.
Absolutely.
And that's what followed next, and it was just amazing.
With a full belly and Muntasir having eaten about half a goat at that restaurant, we decided to finally make our way up the last 50 kilometers to Kodaikanal. And 8 kilometers up the mountain, we stopped for a brilliant view. It's actually India's highest waterfall, known commonly as Rattail. I do believe that it has also been listed as the 14th highest waterfall in the world. Great sights, and thanks to the rains and the fact that we drove straight into a cyclone, there was a lot of water and we got to see a brilliant waterfall.
Coming up the mountain and the scenery over here, the wildlife.
Yeah, the wildlife, man.
Yeah,
the bison.
The bison and the giant squirrel. I mean, the sights, the sounds. It's all just so wonderful. I mean, you've got monkeys roaming around
Monkeys everywhere,
street.
man. Yeah.
And,
Monkeys you will see every day.
And mingling with people. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not scared. They know there are people around. But they're just around there, and people aren't scared of them either. And coming from a city, that can be a little bit of a surreal experience for you. So Vikram's grown up around Kodaikanal, as he just told you, and I'm the tourist, since this is pretty much my maiden trip to the hill station. The most famous thing to visit in Kodaikanal is obviously the lake, because everybody talks about it, and that's pretty much the first thing we did. But Vikram, what else?
Well, the lake is the center of town. So Kodai, the main town, sits around the lake, and everything is centered around there, even all the activities, as you rightly learnt when you tried to ride a horse next to the lake. And I will not comment on that any further.
Don't remind me.
No. It was funny watching him get on a horse. While Muntasir was brave enough to get on a horse, he chickened out on the boat ride. I don't know why, it's a basic boat ride, but this man...
I don't do water boats.
Well, you missed a great boat ride in the fog and the rain. It was fun. So another great thing to do in Kodai is to sample the food that you get here. I wouldn't call it the local cuisine because it's from pretty much all over the planet, but you get great food in Kode. It's amazing. And you start off with the snacks around the lake. You get raw mangoes with chili powder on them, you know, great stuff. Boiled peanuts again with little chili sprinkles on them, fantastic tasting stuff. And corn on the cob, roasted, nice and cold. I actually got my hand on trying to make my own. That was pretty cool. That nice lady let me do that.
You also bumped your head while you were doing that, didn't you?
Well, I'm tall and Kode is short. Moving on to food, I have to say that my favorite place in Kode is the Royal Tibet restaurant.
Yeah.
And incidentally, they celebrated their 21st anniversary on the day that we went there to eat. So it was cool that we got free coffee, free green tea and chocolates. But the food is out of the world. I want to let Muthu sir talk about the food because he... There's this great little quaint shop known as Spottershed. And the work that they do and the pottery that they have on sale there is outstanding. It's at a global standard. And for me personally, I love the coffee cups there. They're brilliant.
We are the only pottery where pots are being produced by village potters.
Okay.
Our potter was just a village potter down in the plains, and he was sent to Pondi for training, and he took 4 years to learn because he had to memorize everything. He couldn't read or write.
Okay.
So he had to memorize all the glaze recipes and everything. And then he in turn trained 2 other potters, but now there are just the 2 of them.
And how many people have benefited through this program? Is there a number?
Well, right now we're educating 135 children in local schools.
Okay.
And once we start with, whenever they join us, you know, it could be at kindergarten level, it could be at grade 6, grade 7, but we see them through school.
Okay.
And we get an undertaking from the parents that we give 90% and they give 10% because we feel they need to make a little investment in their children's future. We also give them school bags, uniforms, annual medical checks, everything.
Very nice.
And we get an undertaking from the parents that they will not take their child out of school until he's finished, he or she, both.
So Kode is known as the princess of hill stations, and for good reason too, because nature's bounties here in abundance. And you cannot go back from Kodai without having taken in what nature has to offer over here. It's just stunning. You just have to dig a little, get out of town, and find your way into these stunning little corners of Kodai that are just breathtakingly beautiful. We went down to a place called Kodaikanal, Palmerpuram Falls. Beautiful over there. Took a walk in the pine forest as well. I think Muntasir had a little fall in the pine forest. We didn't get that on camera though. It's off the record.
No, I didn't. I jumped off a rock.
But what do you have to say about that place? You know, your first time there, seeing something like that.
It's just beautiful walking through it. It's surreal actually, because the sights that you see there is something that city folks see in the movies, and you don't get to see them all the time. Walking through there and just trekking down by the falls, going all the way down, it was just a valuable experience. It's something that'll stay with me till the very end.
I love the way, you know, they look like enchanted forests. You know, it's something straight out of a movie like, you know, Bridge to Terabithia or, you know, Lord of the Rings or something like that. It's one of those kind of forests. And these Shola forests are known to be really old. And they play a big part in the whole ecological thing of the planet. I'm not too sure about that, but I'm not an expert on that field. But that's what I hear.
But apart from the food, the other thing that's really famous about Kodai has to be the coffee.
Yes.
And well, pretty much every single morning that we've been here, we've had coffee at Spencer and Company Limited, which is probably the best coffee in Kodai, and it's really nice.
Yep. That counter is run by Daily Bread, and small. There were 2 counters in Kodai, but they make the best filter coffee ever. And I guess they make great black coffee also, because that's all that this man drinks.
So Kodaikanal is not just another hill station, it's the hill station, and its history is probably as old as nature itself.
If you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got the Kodai Club, which was formerly known as the English Club. You've got the golf course, Again, beautiful place to go golfing. It's stunning the way the place looks, and it's ancient as well. It's got a lot of history to it. But you come down to town and you've got the Kodai Boat and Rowing Club as well, set up right on the lake. It's a man-made lake, and then the boat club came up after that, obviously. But again, an old institution in itself. For me personally though, Kodai School, Kodaikanal International School, where I went to school, set up in 1901. Now that date is going to come back again.
Yes, it is.
But set up in 1901. It's an American missionary school. And while Kodai was set up by the British, because they wanted to escape the heat and get away from malaria and all of that stuff as well, this was their summer retreat, their summer home, and that's how Kodai came to be. And Kodai International School started off as a hotel and went on to become a very prestigious school.
It was first set up in 1901.
Okay. And you've been here as the principal now for how long?
I have been.
Shoot.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
I have been the This is my 4th year here, but I was also a student, so I grew up here in this beautiful town.
And what's so special about Kodai School?
What's special about Kodai School is an endless list, but essentially it is a multicultural school. It is a school with heritage. The location is both stunning and unique, and is part of our identity. Our students are extraordinarily special to us, and our ongoing sense of community.
And it is also one of the oldest IB schools in the country.
It is the oldest IB school in the country. Yes. It was originally set up in 1890. It was a hotel called the High Clerk Hotel, and that's this building right here. But it was set up by a lady named Margaret Eddy, originally for American missionaries and their children to escape the heat of the plains and malaria and other things. Not really.
That's okay. That's okay. But yeah, so I mean, so we went from a hotel.
Went from a hotel to the best international school in India.
And speaking about institutions, and while Kodai School might be my personal favorite, there is a reason that we chose Kodaikanal as our destination this Diwali, and that is because of the observatory that's located over here. It is a solar observatory. It was set up in the late 1800s, and it again went functional in 1901. Again, I bring up 1901, very important. We're getting there. And they're responsible for the study of sunspots. In fact, the discovery of sunspots was made from this solar observatory. It is the world's oldest modern solar observatory that's still functional. And a lot of research. You've got global scientists coming down here doing their stuff. And it's part of the Indian Institute of Astrophysics that's set up in Bangalore. And they have something out in Leh as well. That's Bangalore.
In 1909, one famous English man, John Evershed. He was discovered the radial motion of the sunspot from this institute. Still, people are working on that.
Okay. And even today, it's one of the foremost institutes in studying the sun globally.
Yes, globally, yes.
And do you have scientists globally coming here and also taking a look?
Yes, if any international conference is there, so during that time people are visiting and take some observations for the research.
Well, the observatory is definitely the most important part of our trip because the other half of our trip, which is Audi, has something to do with 1901 as well.
Absolutely.
August Horch, the founder of Audi, he first founded the company Horch in 1899, and the first car to be built by him at Horch was in 1901. Well, all these years later, throughout the union, through the Volkswagen ownership, and Audi has just really gone from place to place, and their biggest achievement right now, apart from all of the technology that's going on under the bonnet, definitely has to be all of the stuff that's going on in the front with the lights.
Absolutely.
And since we're talking about lights and the sun and Diwali, it just all came together to be the perfect trip.